So a lot of people are asking exactly what is it that I saw? What truth did I see that made me change my perspective on our criminal justice system? And this is how it goes. So a person of color in the United States during the Jim Crow era faced disenfranchisement, second-class citizenship, barriers to voting, barriers to education, barriers to employment, and barriers to housing. Then in the United States, we passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the 1965 Voting Rights Act that said that we can no longer do this, discriminate based on skin color. 21, what is the only label that we can legally discriminate against, that we can legally disenfranchise, relegate to second-class citizenship, have barriers to voting, barriers to education, barriers to employment, barriers to housing? If you guessed right, in 2021, convicted felons are the only people we are allowed to legally disenfranchise. Now, do you believe it's a coincidence that 1 in 3 African American males now carry this label of convicted felon as opposed to 1 in 17 white males that carry this label of convicted felon to legally be disenfranchised? Now, if you answered yes to that question, let's look at what's happened between the Jim Crow era and 2021. We've had a 700% increase in our United States prison population. We've gone from 300,000 inmates in 1970 to 1.8 million today and as high as 2.3 million. So in spite of crime rate dropping, our prison population skyrocketed. And it was because we had the law and order agenda. And the law and order agenda increased police spending but decreased our education funding. And by doing so, we created the school to prison pipeline. We also created the war on drugs, which we now know is a war on people. In 1986, we passed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, which differentiated between powder cocaine and hard cocaine, which we now know disproportionately impacted people of color. We also had the 94 crime bill with the Truth in Sentencing Act, which led to higher incarceration rates and harsher sentences for people of color. And once I saw all this, my perspective changed, because I know that Jim Crow era never ended. Racism never ended. It just evolved into what we now have as the new Jim Crow, modern day slavery.